Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to bring this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Fire exits are located in the sides of the room in front and back. In the event of a fire, you will hear a fire alarm at that time. Please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the nearest exit. Now make a motion to open the floor for public speaking. I have a second. Second by Vice President McGill. All those in favor say aye. And opposed, abstain. Motion carries. Speaker number one.
Hope I don't get kicked out for this. Despite all taxpayers' monies being used to hire unprecedented number of staff to help improve instruction, additional money is being spent on consultants. If everyone did what they were supposed to do, taxpayer dollars could be used towards filling the inordinate amount of vacancies, that still exist. Monitors watch idly as those in position and power compromise hiring process by keeping people in intern positions that were never posted for others to apply and making backdoor deals with those who are less qualified but more politically correct. A board member who sleeps through board meetings says that the community doesn't care due to low turnout in town halls. Meanwhile, he has never stepped foot into a public school so that he can learn about the community and understand the responsibilities and properly represent. At a board meeting, a board member also stated that the community doesn't care. As I recollect, it's the community as a whole. So if we're looking for a superintendent, how many private community members are in our school district? Okay? Think about ICE. Think about the streets. Think about what our community is going through. Stop being selfish. How do we go from 80% students below the level 66 graduation rate? Principals from high schools being moved due to lack of students' achievements. An AP of another high school was relocated to another school while individuals that were principals during that time should be questioned about that graduation rate. Yet they're still allowed to continue to work in another school. Who is monitoring students' progress? Schools where data remains stagnant for years. Why is some being held accountable while others are not being held accountable? Attendance rates continue to drop, yet persons responsible for conducting 504 visits during the pandemics continues to be overlooked because of the advocate of the well-being of students and the community. We all care. Enough has been done. We must learn to break this vicious cycle that is continuous and never ending. Community Advisory Board should also include individuals within our village, our community, not people from outside that don't understand what's going on with our community. It has come to my attention that more than one time in elementary schools that lunch has been running out. Kids are given 4 mozzarella sticks, not enough fruits and vegetables. It's time to have enough hot meals for all these children to eat in every single school. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public speaking. We will now move on to our superintendent's report. Superintendent Belusco, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, community, members of the board. It is my honor to present the tenure recommendations for 9 outstanding educators today in the East Ramapo Central School District. Each of these professionals has shown exceptional dedication, professionalism, and a deep commitment to the growth and success of our students. They were all invited here today, and I would like to call them by name and say a few words about them. I will start with one person that was recommended for tenure at a previous board meeting this year. Rudy Atami, teaching assistant from Kakiat. If you are here, please stand. A few comments that were made by the principal: demonstrates effective classroom instruction while engaging students and families in school-wide initiatives, fostering pride, inclusivity, and cultural awareness. Thank you. Ms. Caroline Bowles, not here, an ENL teacher from Pomona Middle School. The principal writes, brings passion and care to her classroom, differentiating instruction to meet diverse student needs while contributing to a positive and collaborative school culture. Ms. Tanya Garcia, teaching assistant, Spring Valley High School. Principal writes, she is a cornerstone of the special education program, providing academic and emotional support to students with dedication and reliability. Ms. Rosanna Maselli, from Margetts Elementary School, ENL teacher. She excels in supporting multilingual learners, collaborating with colleagues to ensure consistent academic support, and creating a welcoming environment where every student can thrive. Ms. Catherine Morell, Ramapo High School, ENL teacher. Ms. Morell engages students effectively in both English and Spanish, uses innovative teaching strategies, and actively participates in school leadership initiatives that benefit the entire school community. Ms. Sonia Dominguez Saravia, unfortunately she's not here today, our East Ramapo Central Office Director of Instructional Technology. Ms. Dominguez demonstrates exceptional leadership in instructional technology and district-wide initiatives, including Family University, connecting families and educators to enhance learning experiences across the district. Ms. Wanda White, ENL teacher, Early Childhood Center. Ms. White delivers high-quality instruction to English language learners, contributes actively to professional learning communities, and serves in leadership roles that support equity and student growth. Ms. Rosemary Abraham, elementary teacher at Kakiat Elementary School, a collaborative and dependable teaching assistant whose positivity, patience, and dedication strengthen classroom instruction and creates a nurturing environment for students. Miss Alexandra Williams, Pomona Middle School, teaching assistant. Miss Kakiat provides engaging instruction aligned to state standards, leads family and community events, and supports students. These 9 educators exemplify excellence in teaching, leadership, and community engagement. We are proud to recommend them for tenure, confident that they will continue to making a lasting and meaningful impact on our students and schools. Thank you for all that you do. Now we would like to take a moment to present some student highlights. We have 3 here. The first one is Girls on the Run. This fall, 16 East Ramapo scholars competed they completed the regional Girls on the Run 5K at Rockland Lake State Park, many of them returning for their 2nd, 3rd, or 4th season. Principal Ama Awusu Afriyi supported this initiative in our district in 2022, and it continues to grow and thrive today. Our students are building confidence, resilience, and wellness, and reminding us that they can do hard things. Congratulations. At Ramapo High School, last week, Ramapo High School's student actors, the Ramapo Players, performed their fall drama, Late Bus. We are proud of the hard work and dedication that goes into bringing a full production to the stage. Thank you to the staff and families whose support makes these creative opportunities possible for all of our students. And lastly, we want to recognize that at Grandview Elementary, they had Pages and Pajamas hosted a joyful literacy night for families, highlighting the strategies students use to build reading and comprehension skills. Families engaged in hands-on activities that strengthen the home and school connection. Thank you to the teachers, the Finkelstein Library, and the PTA for making this event possible.
Before you move on, I just want to say that I had the opportunity to attend the Ramapo Players for production of Late Bus on Friday, and they did an amazing job as always. As many of you may know, Ramapo's auditorium is currently being renovated, and I know Ms. Wilmoth is here, so I would just like to thank Ms. Wilmoth and her staff for opening her doors to our students. It truly takes a community and a village to making experiences like this possible, so thank you, Ms. Wilmoth and your staff.
Now we move on to our transportation updates. We have Mr. Stark with us virtually, and I'd like to pass it on to him.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Volume is loud enough? Okay, great. So at this point, the update is based upon the fact that the Ammon Consulting Group has completed its initial assessment of the district's transportation operations following the 25-26 school year start failure. Their findings confirm that the root causes are systematic and long-standing, particularly in data management and the structure of responsibilities within the department. Ammon Consulting Group outlines a set of near-term decisions and actions that we will be working on immediately to ensure stability for the remainder of this year and to prevent a repeat of this fall's failures. The 25-26 startup failure was fundamentally a failure of process, not a single event. Data systems were incomplete, inaccurate, and outdated, especially for the non-public schools. The introduction of a new routing software occurred without proper preparation, clear objectives, or updated operational processes. The department's structure and responsibilities have not kept pace with East Ramapo Central School District's unusually large and complex transportation needs, those being serving approximately 45,000 students, 35,000 of which are non-public school students. Non-public transportation work dominates the department, but is intertwined with public school routing and daily operations in ways that prevent either from functioning effectively. Student data management for non-public schools is a major point of concern and should not remain within the transportation department. Without structural change, a return to a disciplined annual planning cycle, the district remains at high risk for future service disruption. So those were the findings, and then we know that moving forward we need to make some important decisions. So the Ammon Consulting Group and the administration are considering a new direction for the operational model. District staff will focus exclusively on planning, oversight, and management of public school transportation. Non-public transportation management functions will be separated and transitioned to a contracted management services model after a defined transition period. The division will allow each area, public and non-public, to be managed more effectively and with clearer accountability. The non-public registration process will have to be modified, and such modification will require the process to be fully electronic. We continue to work on this model, and we'll be sharing it with the Facilities and Transportation Committee tomorrow, and then follow up with the full Board of Ed at its next meeting.
Thank you.
Can we make sure that for tomorrow's Transportation Committee meeting that we have the latest third report from the consulting company?
Yes.
Yes.
Not at a meeting, prior to the meeting.
I'm sorry?
Prior to the meeting.
Oh, surely. Yes, we can
Yes.
certainly.
Yes, I
forward
will
those
send it to you, yes.
Okay. We'll move on. The next slide is about parent-teacher conferences. On Wednesday, December 3rd, we have parent-teacher conferences for grades K through 6. There are no school for students. Conferences are held during the day. For grades 7 through 12, there's a full day for students, and the conferences will be held during the evening. Buildings will share their lists of in-person and virtual conference appointment slots, so parents can participate in person or virtually.
When will that information be going out to the parents?
Mr. Gandhi?
So we'll start communicating with the buildings tomorrow. We'll share the flyers starting tomorrow, and the buildings will communicate with the families with the time slots. It's sending a link to signup.com. That's the platform we use.
So it's going to be sent via Remind?
Remind, Blackboard as well. We'll do a robocall as well, and it'll be posted on the website as well.
And also on the website?
Yes.
And flyers home for elementary?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
For those grades that there's no school, is that for special ed as well, or just for the regular school children?
All children K through 6. Okay, on Friday, November 21st, beginning at 3 o'clock, there is a turkey giveaway. Families at the Family Welcome Center, which is right here in this building. If you're interested, please bring school ID or your child's bus pass. Turkeys will be given away on a first-come, first-served basis until they're all gone, and again, it starts at 3 p.m. on Friday, November 21st. And now I'll pass it on to Ms. Kiwi for an update.
Thank you. So the board at the previous meeting had asked for an extended stakeholder survey. That was extended until November 12th. It has closed. Dr. Coles said they will have a summary of the input for the board by the end of next week. And they opened the applications for superintendent. And those applications are open until December 29th. And information and forms can be found at the Western BOCES site, which is up on the board. You can also get to that site from our superintendent search pages, which has a friendly URL of Superintendent Search 2025, and we have a link there to go to the BOCES page. All applications must go to BOCES, not to East Ramapo. And so there won't be any update at the December meeting because we'll be waiting for applications. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it is time for our student voice, and I invite our student member, Maria Yanis Mendez, to speak.
Good evening, members of the district board, educators, and fellow students. My name is Maria Yanis, and I'm here today on behalf of the student body at Ramapo High School. I would like to address an important concern many students are unsure of when and where they will be able to take the SAT. In previous years, the SAT was administered in the school on the same day as the PSAT, which ensured clarity and equal access for all. This year, however, the lack of clear communication has left students anxious and uncertain. Some students were even unable to apply for early action because they were not able to take the SAT at all. This has placed many of us at a major disadvantage during an already challenging college application season. So I would like to know if the district is going to be offering the SATs and if they're going to be offered at the schools. Thank you.
Dr. Gonzalez, quick response?
Good evening. Great point. So the after-school program will begin shortly. We are still finalizing all of the details. Over the last year, the district held different after-school opportunities for students, so we're trying to make it one streamlined program for all of our students K through 12. In terms of the SAT administration, we have partnered with Kaplan to provide both small group instruction as well as individualized instruction for students that want to receive that. That information has gone out to the secondary principals. Administration of the next SAT test isn't until December. We have been in touch with College Board, who supervises SAT administration, and have notified them that if any of our students qualify for scholarships or qualify for the merit scholarship in particular, due to the score that they receive in December, the district can write a letter on their behalf and still make that round of finals. Some applications for early action were due starting in November, I believe November 15th. A lot of the early decision and early action college applications do continue in through December. So we're hoping that if you or particular students have questions around that, they can speak to their guidance counselors, and we'll make sure that school counselors have all of the information they need so that we can package that information on each and every student's behalf.
Ms. Mendez, we'll make a commitment that we will work together with the school building leadership to make sure that we communicate this very clearly and frequently.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is the second time this has been brought up at a board meeting from our student rep. Can we find a way to communicate this with our students so they know what's going on? I mean, I know you guys are working behind the scenes with putting certain things in place, but I think that leaving our students in the dark is not helping. So whatever we can do to let them know what their next steps are, I think would be very helpful and beneficial to them.
Yes, we will do that. We will start, once everything is finalized, we'll share that information out to students and families as well.
Can we maybe put a deadline on that, on when they could probably receive that information?
Sure. If you give me a minute, I was actually searching last board meeting's board docs to see what that timeline was for Kaplan.
We'll give updates this week for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now at the section of our meeting where we're going to talk about student outcomes, and we have 3 administrators who will be presenting data to us today. We have Executive Director Ellen Andriello, Executive Director Tamara Truax, and Director Samantha Shearer. Welcome.
Good evening, President Rose, Vice President McGill, trustees, cabinet, Superintendent Relisco. Good evening. We're here to talk about American Reading Company, which is our core reading program for elementary students. So what is American Reading Company, which is ARC Core? It provides an English and Spanish elementary literacy curriculum grounded in the science of reading. Our core, it supports differentiated small group instruction. It has culturally responsive text for all of our students in rich classroom libraries in both English and in Spanish. We use also ongoing student achievement-based formative literacy assessments, which are the ERLA, which is the English literacy, and the ANEAL, which is also Spanish literacy. So we're measuring both. And this is ongoing monitoring. So my colleagues will continue.
So we're going to be using the terms ERLA and ANEAL a lot, so we wanted to make sure that it's clear to everyone what we're talking about when we say those words, because anyone outside of those of us in the buildings wouldn't know. So both of these are ongoing literacy assessments to see what students are able to do with reading and where they need to go. The ERLA is the English assessment, which all of our students using ARC Core are assessed with, and then the ANEAL assessment is for Spanish language, so our students in bilingual programs are assessed with both the ERLA and the ANEAL.
So what is the ARC Core implementation timeline? In 24-25, we implemented ARC in all transitional bilingual education classes in grades K through 6. This year, we expanded to all monolingual and special education classes in grades K through 5. Next year, in 26-27, we will continue the use of the literacy curriculum at the district for all elementary level programs and classes.
So what's new this year? Just to expand a little bit on what Tamara just said. So all K through 5 monolingual and special education classes are using ARC Core, which is the core reading program, plus the ERLA formative assessment on an ongoing basis. Also for our K1 and 2 classes, which really we rely on early foundational skills, we're using Wilson Foundations, which is supplanting the ARC Core foundational skills. It's a very scripted program for our students. Literacy and multilingual education instructional coordinators are also providing ARC Core coaching cycles with the teachers, with support from district leadership, and also we have ARC coaches that go into every one of these buildings and work with the literacy coordinators to turnkey this to teachers, so they're getting constant coaching on this. And they also, teachers are also using formative assessment data to guide academic instructional decisions, which ensures literacy equity across all elementary schools.
So before we get into the data from the ERLA and ANEAL assessments, we want to explain how they work, because they do work differently than a lot of the other assessments that we've talked about in previous board meetings. For example, Dr. Gonzalez talked last week or last meeting about the STAR assessment, which happens 3 times throughout the year, and students are sitting on a computer taking that all at the same time. This is different because teachers are meeting one-on-one with students to assess their reading skills using the assessment tool. They're finding out what students can already do and what the students need to learn to grow their reading level. And this is, as we've mentioned before, and we'll talk more about it, is going to happen on an ongoing basis throughout the school year. Right now, the data we're going to share is the baseline assessment. So teachers spent September and October meeting with each and every one of their students, using this assessment tool to get to know them as readers.
So along that line, this visual is to show you the correlation with the 3 STAR benchmarks. Last board meeting, as Sam said, we shared our STAR results, and you can see the 3 STAR cycles identified with the 3 circles along the line. Now, at the same time, you can see that the ERLA and ANEAL assessments are ongoing throughout the year. The assessments are interwoven into the STAR assessment cycles, giving teachers real-time data as they go along working with their students.
Okay, so we're about to go into showing you some data on the elementary level for both the ERLA and the ANEAL. And just remember, this is a first full implementation year for the monolingual and special education students. For the bilingual, this is their 2nd year. And again, this is baseline data. This is right in September and October, really assessing where the students are and really getting an idea, besides just the STAR, really where are the students and where do we need to take them. So in front of you, you see this is the district-wide ERLA assessment for students K through 6. You can see the green, we have proficient or above reading level for their grade, which is 6%. At risk is just a little bit below grade level. They're almost there. We have 18%. And there are 71% students at a level that is significantly below grade level. And those are the students we really target, and we'll talk more about that when it comes to conferencing. The next sheet just shows you on a grade level the percentages of where the students are with their reading grade level. This is not proficiency. This is where they're at with their reading level. You can see that the 5th grade has about 9%. It's the highest out of the grades. And 3rd grade, we have about 4%, but it's also the students we've tested, which are pretty high there. That is the English literacy assessment right now for ERLA.
So Ellen shared the ERLA, which was the English assessment. Here are the results from the baseline ENEAL assessment. So this, again, is all of our students in the bilingual programs. In addition to being assessed in English, they are also assessed in Spanish using the ENEAL. So we see that we have 70% of our students that are reading significantly below grade level. We have 18% of our students who are reading just below grade level, and 8% of our students reading on grade level in Spanish. To break that down by grade level, you can see it varies quite a bit from grade to grade. Our kindergartners have the most room to grow, and our second graders have the highest rate of proficiency at 17%. And certainly we're looking to grow all of those students over the course of the year.
I see as the amount of students that are tested, the percentages go up. Is it possible that we are testing the weakest students?
We are testing all of the students. So the numbers, I'll go back for a second.
But the numbers are really affected when you have a bigger amount of students, the percentages go up. Said something is wrong with the sampling.
So what the student numbers there say, so if I give kindergarten as an example, 2% of them are currently reading on grade level. So 5 out of the 287 students that were tested, this is bilingual students. So we have 287 students in our dual language kindergarten program who are assessed in English and in Spanish. So in Spanish, 2% of them are on grade level. So every student, we have other reports that we can see. We can see exactly how many students are on a grade level or in a class and how many of them were assessed. So all of the students in those classes were assessed.
Thank you.
Okay, so we just showed you the baseline data. And where do we go from here? All students now have an individual reading goal. The teachers are providing small group instruction based on their goals. And when teachers see that a student is ready, they can choose to reassess and assign a new goal, which then continues the assessment cycle throughout the year.
So as we all can see, there's a lot of urgency. How are we going to help move these students up so that they are reading on grade level? So ARC uses equitable conferencing. So we know equitable doesn't mean everyone gets the same thing. It means everybody gets what they need. So teachers meet with students in those small groups like Tamara was talking about. Each small group, they're focusing specifically on what those students' goals are. So a group of students with the same goal will work with the teacher. And they will meet, the students at the red level are going to meet with their teachers 2 times within a 2-week cycle, right? So all of their planning for small group happens within a 2-week cycle. So they'll meet with them 3 times. The students at the yellow level will meet with them 2 times, and the students who are proficient readers will meet with them once. When they're not meeting with the teacher, they're all working either independently or collaboratively on those same reading goals, so that constantly during the daily literacy block, there's a section of time where that is all everybody is working on so that the students can move forward.
Again, recognizing definitely we have a lot of work to do. Just to continue what Samantha was saying, so the district will continue to monitor real-time ERLA and ENEAL data. We will monitor this. Teachers do it on a daily basis. The district, the school buildings do it on a weekly, monthly. We just constantly monitor it to identify the trends, the needs, and the growth that is needed across all schools to inform and adjust instructional practices. We're going to continue to align and refine the instructional coordinators, the coaching cycles to support the teachers so they really have the tools that they need to provide this high-quality instruction, and especially for small group instruction during their daily literacy block. We're going to continue to provide ongoing professional development on reading goals, what they truly are, small group instruction, and effective use of ARC toolkits, which is the intervention pieces that they work on to close those gaps. If they're a little bit below, they go into the toolkits. The teacher works with the child to close those gaps. And we will continue to conduct district-level learning walks and progress checks to monitor the implementation of this new core reading program.
Before you, I just want to say, I think it's imperative that we also kind of some way include the parents.
We're going to talk about that, definitely.
Okay, it's there? Okay.
Yes,
All
thank
right,
you so much.
you. Mhm. Okay.
So simultaneously, teachers will continue to assess students' literacy skills to keep reading goals and levels up to date. They will utilize real-time ERLA and ANEAL data to plan instruction. They will collaborate with the reading interventionists and ENL teachers to assess students' unique needs, and they will initiate family communication such as parent home reports for ERLA and ANEAL to foster the home and school connection.
So to speak a little bit more to that last point, ERC has a home update document. This is something that helps families understand where their child is with reading, and it strengthens the communication between home and school. It's a family-friendly report available in both English and Spanish. Teachers can send reports home to families to share their students' reading progress so far, what their student needs to learn to get to the next reading level, and what families can do at home to support their students' literacy growth. So we're going to show you a sample one. All right, this is a sample ERLA report. The ANEAL looks similar, and again, these are both available in English and Spanish. Even if the student is not in a bilingual program, anything can be sent home in English or Spanish. So you can see in this sample here, there is one section that talks about the progress. It tells her her level is 1G. That probably doesn't mean anything, right, to a parent. If I get that at home, I'm not sure what that's about, but there are bullet points underneath that explain what that means for the child, what she can do already, and then what she needs to do to move to the next level. And then the biggest section at the bottom talks about what families can do. And this is something that we hope teachers will talk with parents at those parent-teacher conferences to explain what this report is and how they can use it so that when they come home throughout the year, the parents have an understanding of what they're seeing and it's not just a piece of paper coming home.
So to conclude this evening, how can families help at home? Well, ask your child to share their power reading goal. Read with them every day. Even 10 minutes makes a difference in any language. Talk about the books they bring home. And most importantly, celebrate their progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question before you guys walk away. So I know in the past we've had different programs for our students, elementary and secondary. We had the ELT program, we had the High School Saturday Academy program, we had the Secondary After School Academy program. I know there was another reading program as well. I haven't heard anything about after-school programs for our students besides whatever is going on in the high school and middle schools with sports and clubs. What is the plans for after-school program, knowing that we're already in November, holidays are coming up, so there's really not much we can do now or time to put in work to make sure that there's after-school programs right now for our students, K through 12.
Yeah, we are definitely, I think Jaleesa or Ron, Dr. Gonzalez can speak to that. We started those conversations about extended learning time, where the students can come to after school to practice further.
So, great question, Trustee Charles Pierre. Just to elaborate, what I tried to mention earlier is last year the programs and the after-school activities were done in isolation. So rather than doing a separate ELT, a separate Regents Prep, or a separate program for our English language learners, we're combining that into one after-school component. So we're collaborating with the Office of PPS and Ms. Marconi and Mrs. Rincon Tomisawa to make sure that all of our students have access to that. And so we're going to do that for the rest of the year as one after-school program, which will meet the needs of all of our students. So it takes a little bit more planning to do it that way cohesively, but that's the goal, is to make sure that each and every student that needs an after-school activity has access to one.
And that would be starting when?
January.
Who would know how many kids we have in each grade? Because I'm just curious to know what percentage of kids took the tests. Because the total amount of students that we have from K to 6 over here is 1,100. I believe we have probably in the 5,000 range.
Right. So all students were assessed. I would say the ANEAL slide that we were looking at was only looking at students in bilingual programs. So that number is significantly smaller than the total number of students in K through 6. But the slide with the ERLA assessment, the total numbers of students were much higher on those slides because we are talking about all of the students in K through 5, in bilingual, monolingual, gen ed, special ed programs, and then also our 6th grade bilingual students.
And just to clarify, not all of our Ls are in bilingual programs. Some of them are receiving services through ENL teachers, so it doesn't represent all of our L students.
Exactly.
So when there is 2% in K, that means 2% of the weak kids?
It means 2% of all of the, so that one slide we were looking at was the ENEAL slide. So those are kindergartners in the dual language program. I believe there's approximately 10 dual language classes, I'd have to double check that number, across the district in K. So that's 2% of all the students in all of those classes are on grade level at this point in the school year.
I know at the last meeting, I know one of the questions that I asked had to do with students opting out of taking assessments. Were we able to look into that to see if students, how many students are opting out of assessments and testing throughout the year?
So with respect to the assessments that we've been implementing for the beginning of the year, those are not optional for opt-out. Parent opt-out assessments are explicitly for state assessments. So what we have done is we have issued the assessment to every student that has sat in a seat in the district.
And that's K through 12?
Well, it
Well,
depends.
K through, depending on the...
It depends on the assessment, sure.
Thank you. And now I'll pass it on to President Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Lusko. Thank you for the presentation. We will now move on to consent and agenda items. Does anyone wish to change anything on the consent and agenda items?
I think there's a typo on the minutes from two meetings prior, the one that was in Spring Valley. It says that S-Coat was absent, and one of the motions, it says it's moved by S-Coat.
Good catch. What did it say? It was moved by Mr. Koth?
When you
Perhaps
go
it
to
was moved by
members
Mr.
absent,
Moses.
S-Coat is absent. And then on page 3, I believe, no, it's on page 3, a motion by Mr. Escott. So
Kathy, any comment? Can it be that perhaps we mixed up the Koths?
it's probably either an M or
I'm sorry, which item is he asked a question about?
the minutes from the meeting from 10/21.
Yes?
It says in the beginning that members absent was Escott. And then by motions is consent and agenda motion by Mr. Escott. So it's either MCOT or it's somebody else.
Okay.
That's on
I will-
the third page.
It's a typo.
Right. I'll get that corrected and bring it back to the next meeting. Thank you so much.
So are we going to remove the minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, thank you.
So the amendment to the consent
Well, we
agenda is
didn't
that
do a
we'll
motion.
remove the minutes and they'll
We're
be
removing the
approved at
minutes.
the next meeting
Okay.
with the correction.
Okay, again, so before we move on to consent and agenda items, is there any changes or removals anybody would like?
Well, I have questions, so I think we need a motion.
Well, being that it's consent and agenda items, we can move it to action items, but we're not doing discussions on the consent agenda items. If
Say
you'd
that
like
again?
to, one of the items move to action, we can do that. Which item would you like moved to action?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Being that it's under consent and agenda items, we will not be having discussion on these items. If you'd like, if there's
Well,
any
it's not
items that you'd
this-
like to have a discussion on, we can move it to action items, and we'll open it up for discussion on all action items. So if you can point out which of the consent and agenda items you'd like removed and moved to action items, we can do that.
There's no discussion on consent agenda items.
No, it's not discussion. I just have a question. Looks like there's a few typos.
So again,
Yeah, I mean, if there's typos on something, that certainly can be corrected. You can just pass that to Kathy if you want. Is that, I don't understand.
Sabrina, would you like us to move any of the items to action items? Any of the consent and agenda items to action items?
So, like I said, there's a few typos comparing items on the consent that I noticed that I think needs to be looked into to be corrected. Were you saying don't bring it up?
Which item on consent agenda are you saying have typos?
There's a
We're
few-
removing the minutes to be corrected already.
Correct. That's the minutes, but I think aren't we doing the consent and agenda items as a whole?
Yes.
Minutes are being removed.
Yes.
Yes, we're moving the minutes.
So there's a few typos on number 3, certificated personnel. In terms of grades for coaches, and then I know there's 2 coaches on here for Chestnut, one that coached for girls basketball that's now here for boys and vice versa. So I don't know if that was a mistake or, so I just wanted to confirm.
Okay, so that's item number 3. Okay, we will now move item number 3 to action items, certificated personnel recommendations, Sabrina? And we'll address that. I will now make a motion for consent and agenda items 1 through 10, and we're removing the certificated personnel and minutes. So it would be 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Do I have a second on the motion?
Well, I'm not asking if it to be removed.
That's fine, we can remove it.
We're
Let's
simply
discuss
moving
that.
it, we're moving it to action items.
Moving it
There's
to
no
action
discu-
items.
There's
We're
no
gonna vote on
discussion
an
on
action
consent
item, so we
items,
can have
so
the
we'll just do it
discussion.
in action items.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Moses Carth. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, abstain, motion carries. Moving on to item G, return of unpaid school taxes. This will need to be a roll call vote. And I will make the motion for item number 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President McGill. Kathy, we're doing roll call?
Ms. Charles Pierre?
Aye.
Mr. Fetter? Mr. Gruber? Mr. Moses Koth?
Aye.
Mr. Simon Koth? Mrs. McGill?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Aye.
Thank you. So it passes with 7 ayes. And just a reminder to board members that you all need to sign the papers for the towns before you leave tonight, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Moving on now to action items. Action items 1 through 12 with the addition of certificated personnel recommendations, which is item number 3 from consent and agenda items. Do I have a motion for items 1 through 12 with the addition of number 3?
So moved.
Moved by Vice President McGill. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Moses Scott, and we'll open it up for discussion. Sabrina, I believe you had some concerns.
Item number 8, why are we still not signed the contracts from September? And there's no contract numbers for them.
Number 8? Oh. Number 8.
Could you please repeat the question?
Why aren't the transportation contracts that were supposed to be in effect already by September 1st, Why isn't it signed yet? And why isn't there any contract numbers for them?
Thank you.
I do not have an answer for you as to why there are no contract numbers, but the reason that they are coming now is that these are for, well, one of them is a parent contract, which is a contract where the district is reimbursing the parent to take their own child to the school for the mileage. And the other two contracts are for additional routes that were needed in order to get children to school on time. So we have a number of routes that were taking too long as the routes are stacked. As you know, they go to perhaps a high school, then an elementary school, then a middle school, or it could be a non-public school in one of those routes. And we had, due to the amount of traffic or other situations, the earlier routes weren't getting done early enough to start the next runs in order to get the students to school on time. So we've had to add a number of additional runs, and that's what these contracts are for.
So those are not from September 1st. Those were decided later on.
Yes.
The contract is not a September 1st contract. Why is it on the contract September 1st? That's number one. And if that's the answer, so we should have much more than just these two bus companies. She's just more than just this company. And I don't think it totals to this amount.
That was the information that I got from transportation when I asked the question. I will go back and double check that again tomorrow morning, first thing, and I will get back to you. But these are routes that are needed to transport our children.
And just to clarify, the parent contract, that amount is for the year?
Yes, that's for the year.
From September to June, correct?
Yes.
On the contract that we are signing, that amended contract with Omar, who's going to follow to make sure which vehicles they are using? We are going to rely on what they say, or someone from transportation is actually going to check which buses they are using?
So the contract was, the addendum was written in order to, requiring them to obtain a specific document that they're able to request on a monthly basis from the Department of Transportation that they will have to supply to the district on a monthly basis. And if they do not have a satisfactory rating during that period, the contract was written with a penalty clause that would therefore nullify the contract. If I'm misstating that, Douglas, could you please?
No, that's right. That's right. The addendum allows the district will receive information about the verifying that their buses are valid and serviceable, and if they aren't, that gives the district the ability to cancel the contract, which is something we did not have prior to this. So this is an improvement for the district.
Item 4, it says, failed inspection of vehicles. Contractor shall not utilize any vehicle for school district routes if said vehicle failed an inspection. Who's going to check that? That was my question. I understand that what they have inspected and not inspected, we could get from the state. But this physical, to check if they're using this vehicle or not, this VIN number, because bus numbers they could easily change. It's a VIN number that has to be. Do we have someone in-house that will be doing those inspections?
We do. we do have a safety inspector, and they can be assigned to look at any of our contractors on any particular day. So yes, we do have a person in the Transportation Department, Mark Hutkowski, who is our safety inspector and does do those things.
Do we know how many vehicles they have that are available for the district? Which
I do not recall that off the top of my
which
head.
means on top of the contracts, they have to set aside an X amount of vehicles in case of any breakdowns. That's part of the bid.
I'm not sure we know the number of vehicles that this company has, but we know the company has enough vehicles for us and the need that we have for them.
No, that's not, the question is that besides the vehicles that are actually riding, every company has to set aside a certain amount of vehicles that's in the bid.
We do not know the answer to that, and that's not something that we ask in an RFP as to how many vehicles they have.
That's part of the bid. It's in the bid.
Well, then
We do ask
it's
for
in their
every
bid response,
contractor.
but we don't have the bid response here. My understanding is that the analysis of the bids, when the transportation companies bid, they're analyzed and determined if they meet the qualifications set forth in the RFP.
Yeah, but the RFP says very specific that on top of the vehicles that let's say you have 15 packages and you need 15 buses to ride
Right.
on a daily basis, there must be an X amount there's a ratio for that, X amount of vehicles set aside, and in case there's a breakdown, that the district shouldn't lose out.
Right.
It's in the RFP.
Yeah,
So
no.
the question is, do they meet that standard?
We have no reason to believe they do not. They would not have been awarded the RFP if they didn't, right?
They're only awarded right now. It's not
We have
part of
no-
the amendment.
No reason to believe that they did not what?
Have the amount of buses necessary to be awarded the RFP. This
Oh,
is-
no, they have more than enough.
Yeah.
We've communicated with them, we had a nice, long meeting with them, their lawyers present,
Yeah, Chris,
ours
yeah,
was present. They have more buses than they need to serve our district.
Right.
And so they have to submit a report every month indicating that their safety rating, and they have to give us a list of all the buses that they're going to be using and those buses that have passed their safety rating, beneath the 25%.
Yes, we know they have a lot of vehicles because they're a New Jersey company. They have vehicles but the question is if it's DOT approved. Those vehicles have to be DOT approved.
Right,
They are.
so I think I don't get involved in the RFP process, as you can imagine, or the award process. But I have to believe that when the award was made, the folks in the district and the transportation department who analyze the various companies that come before it requesting to be considered are looked at to ensure that they meet the necessary qualifications that we have asked in the RFP, as well as that the state asks of these companies. So at this juncture, we have no reason to believe that they don't have what is required by the RFP and by state law. The only thing that is being looked at for this amendment is further, really beyond what the RFP was, because we had an initial question about Omar, and now we're rectifying that issue, and actually they're agreeing to provide us more than was originally asked for in the RFP, which is only good for the district. Verification that they have these buses, how many are certified, and what the vehicle list is, and so on. So this is being presented to the board for its consideration to enhance what was previously approved for Omar.
Could we know what brought up that we had to do this amendment?
When
Did
they
we
were
realize that they did stuff that they weren't supposed to? Because otherwise, why did we amend all of a sudden their contract?
there was, in the initial analysis of them as a company, it was presented that they did not have the proper number of buses that were qualified to be on the road.
That was 2 years. That was 2 years
That
ago already.
information was completely wrong. So the analysis of that when that was initially analyzed in the transportation department was done incorrectly. We now realize that was not right, so this is that, and they were the lowest responsible bidder. So if either Eric or Matt or Anna have further details they want to share, but that's the concise answer. What was done in the transportation department when this bid originally came in, where the question came up with Omar, was done incorrectly. So this is now, we've done a new analysis, realized they are the lowest responsible bidder, have the requisite number of buses, and for lack of a better way of saying it, this amendment is sort of a belt and suspenders for us, benefits us more, but it also allows us to use them as the lowest responsible bidder.
So it was wrong in which sense? They were better or they were worse? Reading this, it sounds they were worse, because we are taking drastic measures, something we didn't do with anybody else.
Right.
So,
So part of it had to do with the fact that inspections of buses runs from a April 1st to March 31st period of time.
inspections are a 6 month from wherever they were done.
The last time it was done was 3/31, when the buses originally were put forward. They had not all yet been inspected. Most of their buses are brand new, 25, the 25 model buses, but had not yet been inspected, so it appeared as though they didn't have enough buses that were inspected. That was inaccurate. So now, when we relook at it correctly, we find they were in fact, did have an accurate, proper number of buses that were inspected that could be on the road. But the analysis that was done initially, I believe it was 2 years ago, was incorrect.
Something doesn't add up. If they were better than we expected, why are we doing a amendment that we could terminate the contract if they fail?
This was the resolution that was reached between us and them to ensure that we had what we needed in terms of safeguards with respect to their buses, and to ensure that they were provided this contract as was originally thought they would be.
Something is missing.
In terms of, I want to go to number 4, just the Community Advisory Committee. I made note here, I read that it said that no committee members' recommendations were received from the board. And I do want to say that I did send in some recommendations. I emailed, and I have the email, I screenshot it, where I did give 3 names, by the way, for, consideration.
Okay, so I did not get that information. Kathy, did you? I don't recall it. Yeah, so of the 3 names, are one of those chosen? Were one of those recommended?
Looking at the list, not one.
All right, we'll have to,
So I just want that on the record, because
Sure.
I did send recommendations.
Can we,
Can we add Kathy? Can we remove
Yeah.
it until we get some? We will.
Anna, we can add additional names to it if you're willing, or we can take it off and put it on next meeting, your choice.
I'm fine with adding a name. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem at all. So would you like to make a recommendation?
Perhaps we should pull it and then we should talk
Sure.
to Vice President McGill after. Yeah, is that what you? Yeah.
Okay. Mrs. McGill, could you re-forward that email to both Ms.
Yeah, it was-
Relusco and myself after tonight? Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
On item number 6, external audit report, are we getting a briefing on this report?
I'm sorry?
On the external audit report, are we getting an explanation or a briefing or any information on it?
The external audit report. Eric?
Yeah, I thought that Tom was there.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say something.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
So we actually met with the audit committee, including Sean, last Thursday, go over the financial statements and the audit in more detail. This way we could really have a very robust conversation about the district's finances and certain different items that we came across during the audit. This way we could address those questions ahead of time. If there was any concerns, this way we could make any revisions to the report and go through any question in detail. But I'm here tonight to give you a brief version of the results of the audit for the year ended June 30th, 2025. We are planning on issuing what's called a cleaner, unmodified opinion on the financial statements. Essentially, that's the highest level of opinion you can receive, meaning the financial statements are fairly stated. We also did an audit of the extra classroom activities reports. That is also going to be receiving a clean, unmodified opinion. Typically, at this time, we also have a third audit called the single audit. It's the audit of your federal awards to make sure that they're in compliance with all the federal laws and regulations. Unfortunately, we can't issue that at this time because the documents from the federal government they usually release in the late summer have not been released at this time. So that will be released as soon as we can, but it's just because of a little bit of administrative holdup on that end. Just to go through some of the financial results of the audit, the general fund did have an increase in fund balance from the prior year of approximately $2.7 million. Now that puts your fund balance at June 30th at $74.8 million. We do have to point out that we do have one finding in relation to this. Your unassigned fund balance, which essentially your total fund balance, less any amount you put aside for reserves, that amount, that unassigned piece, can only be up to 4% of your subsequent year's budget. Right now, that number is sitting at 10.9%, and really that is a function of some reserves not being fully funded. Those only increased in the prior year by interest earnings, but having spoken with management, there is a plan to go forward with that to fund some other reserves. But I do like to point out that the total fund balance as a percentage of this next year's budget is approximately 21.5%. That's typically where you want to see your fund balance as a percentage. It's essentially 2 to 3 months of operating expenses. So I would say the district's fund balance at year end is right where the total fund balance is right where you want to be. Just from a couple other highlights I do want to point out is that the district has received a large amount of COVID grants over the past few years. You did receive a total of $216 million, and as of June 30th, $212 million of that have been spent. So you can just see that that one-time extra funding from COVID is nearly gone. There's only $4 million remaining at June 30th. I just like to point that out because that is a one-shot deal, and we're not going to see another round of those coming through. There's a couple other items that we do need to point out is we did have a couple other findings in the current year. One of them is a repeat from the prior year, is that we did have a couple of adjustments to accounts payable, what year expenditures go in. But I do really want to point out with that finding is it showed a lot of progress from the prior year. Last year there was a lot more adjustments we had to make, but this year was only a couple of them. So I think that the district is moving forward in the right direction in regards to that comment. And we did have one other prior comment in regard to personnel files. That a lot of information that we requested or were looking for, we could not locate. It was a lot of the employees have been with the district for a long time, but management has moved forward with a digital platform for the personnel files. So we are able to find all the information for newer employees, but because a lot of the employee files relate to older employees, that information is still not there. So we do have to repeat that as a current year finding. But I do want to point out again that the district is moving in a positive direction in regards to that comment. And we also did have a fourth finding in the prior year in regards to claims auditors approval missing from certain expenditures. We are clearing that as a current year finding because we did not come across any cash disbursements this year that were missing that. So overall, I really want to point out that the district, even though there are a couple findings here, is moving in a solid direction. The audits have gotten a lot smoother every single year that we've been here. So I really want to thank Eric and his team for making that possible.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Scott?
How is it that last year, in the audit report, we had the unrestricted fund balance increase approximately $35 million, and we were told this was due to vacancies that are not filled. This year, in the middle of the year, we heard, I think it was June and July, that most of these vacancies weren't filled in 2024 as well. And now, in this report, you only see 2.7 increase in unrestricted fund balance. Where is the difference between 2.7 and approximately 35 million?
For vacancies, I can't speak to that. Eric, I don't know if you have any information on that.
Yes, so the difference in the amount in total has to do with not only expenditures, but also with revenues, okay? So yes, there were unfilled positions, and then in the current year's budget, we have obviously added many more, which we went through during the budget process. But one of the things that you also have to take into consideration both the increase in revenues as well as not spending all of your expenditures. So the delta in between the two was reduced greatly during the remember, this is the audit of last school year, so this is the 24-25 school year. When all was said and done, the total revenues exceeded the total expenditures by the number that was just under $3 million.
Another large piece contributing to it that there was a large amount of state aid that was received over budget. We actually received $1.9 million of state aid revenue that was higher than your budgeted amount, so that is almost $2 million that contributes right to that bottom line.
I didn't get it. I didn't understand. I'm sorry. All these vacancies from last year, they weren't filled. So we should have, instead of 2.7 million in unrestricted funds, we should have much more than that. And we only used, I believe, for this year's budget, we only used, I believe, $5 million from the unrestricted funds. So how is it that the unrestricted funds only increased by 2.7 million instead of 35 million that we were told in June, July, I believe it was June or July, that there will be much more funds not being used over the year?
I'm not familiar with this.
I'm sorry, are you saying that we said in June, at a June meeting, in June of 25, that we were going to have an additional fund balance of $30 million again?
If I remember well, yes.
I do not recall having that conversation. I know that there was talk of the fund balance going up to $100 million. I never verified that. I never said that was the case, but so I'm not sure where that would have come from.
At one point, we were talking about over $100 million in surplus. And if I remember well, we were talking, it was unrestricted funds. Right now, there's only 35 million in restricted funds. To be exact, it's 38 million, I'm sorry. Unrestricted funds.
Under what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Under what?
I understand the general fund balance is about 74 million, but that includes restricted funds. We were told there will be approximately 100 million unrestricted funds between the three years.
Again, if I don't know who said, because it wasn't me, that it was going to go $100 million. I do remember hearing others say that as well, but it was not said by me.
That was a calculation in a meeting in the spring. I think Trustee Gruber was kind of doing some quick math, and we were looking and saying, well, this could approach $100 million. That was thrown out there at the time, but that was not ever verified. That's why you have the audit and you do all the pluses and minuses. And I remember there was some, and maybe Trustee Gruber, because you were doing some quick math there at the time, and said, well, the fund balance could be $100 million, but that turned out not to be the case.
It was based on what we were told that the actual cost of last year was versus the income, and that was 30, unless the cost went up after that.
Yeah, and that was early in the that was way before the end of the fiscal year, before the audit. And that's why you do an audit. You close out the year, all the pluses and minuses and changes.
So what was the actual total cost of last year? 30-something? 300 million something? Because the last one we had was like 291.
The, in the audit report,
The total expenses in the general fund last year were approximately $323 million.
At that meeting, we were told it was about 291, so this is why.
Projected to be 291 or
What?
292, something like that.
Something in the 290s, low 290s. So somewhere,
So
something
from
something
June-
costed another 30 million.
So from June to December, it jumped another 30 million.
So what,
it's not, you can't, the reason why you have an audit at the end of the year is to verify numbers. These are the actual numbers, as opposed to numbers that are thrown around during the year that are not complete and not audited. That's why you have an audit. That's why you produce this report, to tell you what really, where you actually ended up as a district. By the time all the expenditures, all the revenue is calculated by accounting period, and all the expenses are calculated. Actual versus budget.
okay. Okay, Sabrina, there was some issues in item number 3 from certificated personnel. Thank you.
Thank you.
That we wanted to correct. Can you point out which concerns you had so we can correct them?
Well, yes.
Clarifications.
So I know winter sports was supposed to start today. I know we have a few coach positions on the agenda, but I think I noticed that we also have about 12 to 13 or 14 positions still not filled. Also for Chestnut Ridge, I noticed that the 2 head coaches that we have for boys and girls, there's been a switch. So the coach we had for boys last year, we have it on the agenda for girls, and vice versa. So I wanted to see if that was correct, and to see if the grades for the freshman basketball and wrestling varsity head and assistant, the grades for those 3 positions, if those were correct, because I noticed it was different last year.
Do you want to take the first one?
With a follow-up question, what is the goal to fill all the coaching positions, knowing that winter sports started or should be starting this week?
So I can answer that part in the first question, Trustee Charles Pierre. So Ray Peppelardi, our interim director of athletics, was at Spring Valley today to help run open workouts for all of the activities that would have been set to begin today. Because there was a carryover with certificated personnel, it was easier for him to do that and have them there with him. So students we may not have done tryouts today, but there were still opportunities for workouts to be conducted under his direct supervision at Spring Valley. And in terms of the...
What about for Ramapo?
So many of our athletic programs are merged for the winter. And so I know that what was happening at Spring Valley was in place for almost all of those students. I will check on
Ramapo, we're still
Ramapo.
missing. I see there was a resignation for cheerleading at Ramapo. We're still missing, I believe, I didn't see anything here for the girls' basketball team. So I just want to make sure whatever we're doing it on both sides of
Yes.
in our district.
Yes,
Because it's,
absolutely.
like I said, it's about 12 to 14 positions throughout from high school and middle school that are not presented on the agenda for tonight.
Do you want to speak about the process?
Sure. So, I guess about a month ago, positions had closed, the postings had closed, maybe even less than a month ago, positions closed for the head coaching positions. The athletic director put together a process that included student representation as part of the development of questions, creation of a rubric, had school-based administration as part of the interview process for all of the head coaching positions. So what you see tonight specifically around the varsity programs is a number of head coaches being appointed this evening without assistant coaches or without JV coaches, because once the head coaches are approved by the board, if the board so chooses to approve them, the head coach would then work with the athletic director to select the assistant coaches. So there was student voice and administrator voice under the direction of the interim director of athletics to select the positions that are posted this evening for consideration by the board. In some instances, there may not have been a number of candidates to go through, and so there were incumbents that were previously coaching in specific positions and for specific teams, and that made the process a little bit easier. But where the process was a little bit more competitive with a number of candidates, those recommendations are being made this evening.
We've also committed to posting for every coaching position, and for the spring season, those postings will happen in the next 2 weeks so that we're not up against the start of a season and we can have things in place prior to the season beginning. But could you please repeat and you had 3 people, I think, wrestling?
Varsity head, varsity assistant wrestling, freshman boys at Ramapo.
Freshman boys.
I just noticed there was a change in grade from last year.
They change a grade each year. It comes with experience. So you start at a grade 3. If you begin at a grade 3 the following year, you'd be at a grade 2. The following year, you'd be at a grade 1.
Okay, just wanted to
Okay.
confirm
Okay.
confirmation on that.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second for items 1 through 12 with the addition of item number 3, certificated personnel and recommendations from the consent and agenda items. All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to amend the motion. We're removing item number 4, right? The Community Advisory Committee. So we're going to amend the motion. Who made the motion?
I believe the decision was to leave it, and they can amend
Oh, we
it
can
next
add?
meeting, add additional names.
You okay with it? Can I? Okay. So we will not amend the motion. We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye. And on opposed, abstain, motion carries. Thank you. Information and reports from the board. Vice President McGill.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. On the agenda items or information reports?
No.
Just 1 second. Vice President McGill is going to start, and then we'll have
Yeah, I'm
opportunities
just going to
for-
be really quick. I just want to, I had at one of the previous meetings, I know that they needed someone to be on the committee for the Teacher Center, which takes place on Mondays. I sent an email out where I am no longer going to be able to participate within that committee. If I felt there was an email that went out where it talked about how, board members, your responsibility of being at these meetings for each committee, which I understand. So that's why, and then when I took this role, I was hesitant, but no one else would, of course, step in. So therefore, I just want everyone to know that I am going to have to rescind my participation with the Teacher Center Committee because I cannot make every Monday. So I just want to say that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fetter, you had something?
Yes, I wonder if we have any numbers on the absentee rate in the district.
Sorry, the what?
The absenteeism in the district.
Absenteeism.
What's the average?
We can get that information for you. It would vary by grade level.
Okay, can it be sent out to the board, please?
It was supposed to be sent out after the last board meeting, also with the organizational chart that we've been asking for.
Yes, I know. The organizational charts are almost finished. We're almost there. The absentee, if you could just remind me, and then we'll work and make sure that we have it. So you're looking for absentee information, yes? I imagine grade level by grade level. I imagine that would be, and maybe perhaps even building by building. We can look at it that way also.
This
Is there
question
any
has
other
been
way?
asked many times, and we never get an answer.
Okay. So, Mr. Gandhi, we'll work on that together? Okay.
Yes.
Also, I was wondering, of the 35,000 applications that were submitted by April 1st, how many is already in the system?
If the applications are submitted by April 1st, what was the question?
From the application, the 35,000 applications that were submitted by April 1st, how many are in the system currently? We were having some issues with the data, etc. So I think Mr. Feder is asking how many of the 35,000 applications are in the system, or and how many are not?
I think that's neither Eric nor I don't believe are ready to answer that today, but we can look at that. So my understanding is that the applications start to be submitted in January and it's before then, they can start before, I'm asking.
What is it?
Talking about last year.
So last year's were submitted. How many were submitted last year is your question?
35,000 was submitted. How many was entered in the system already in the district?
Well, I would have to look at that carefully. We're looking at hopefully doing it slightly differently in January.
We're talking about the current applications, not the new application in January. In this school year, in the preceding April 1st, we have 35,000 applications. So I think he's asking how many are in the system currently. This has nothing to do with January.
All that receive transportation clearly are in the system. If there are anybody that are, any students that are not receiving transportation, and that continues to be a concern, then we may not have them in.
That's not a question.
But we would have to look into it. I don't know what you mean by in the system.
How many applications were entered?
I will have to look that up. So we're happy to do that. I don't have those figures off the top of my head, but I'm happy to look it up.
No, but Mr. Feder, I think what the superintendent is saying is that if the child is receiving transportation, that means that the application was entered. Is that
No,
right?
no. The children got books just by numbers that the schools gave them. Same thing was with transportation.
Oh.
They're relying on numbers that the schools gave them. They're not relying on the actual applications that they got.
All right, so
this was our issue, they only entered 10,000 about two months ago, and since then we didn't hear anything.
Eric, do we have any idea of where we're up to on that? Like just a rough number or like an estimate? I mean, I think it's a pretty straightforward question.
I agree it's a straightforward question. I think Anna answered it correctly, that we don't have that with us. I'd rather not give information that's not correct. We can get it and get it back to you.
I do think it's important information to have. I mean, because if the applications are not in the system, I'm assuming these children are not getting paid for, or are they getting paid?
No, that is not correct. So
So it's not correct?
Maybe I'm not understanding the question correctly, but the YPC students do not necessarily need to be input into the Transversa system in order to get that transportation done.
But I think the question is when is all the when is the information going to be rectified, like that we're confident and that there's no discrepancies in the billing, etc. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I know you said that they're going to pay based on, but when are we going to get? When is it all going to be in, essentially? I mean, do we have an estimate? I mean, I understand you don't have the current numbers, but we have an idea of when we're anticipating to have all the applications in the system properly and the correct way?
Again, we are working with the consultant on the process that was used and potentially changing how that works. So again, I'd like time to have the conversation with them as they have been doing all of that work over the past month, and get back to you without making a guess.
According to the consultant's memo, they're only working on 26, 27. They're not working on 25, 26.
That's not true.
Well, read the memo, you'll see.
Okay, moving on.
Before you move on, if I may share.
Sure.
I just want to congratulate our East Rampal Marching Band. They've been on a roll the past few weeks. On Saturday, November 8th, the East Rampal Marching Band placed fourth in Group VA Regional Completion at Allentown, Pennsylvania, with a score of 85, which is their highest score in over 20 years. So congratulations to our East Rampal Marching Band.
Also, before we move on, I would like to offer my condolences to our dear District Clerk Kathy, who lost her half-sister recently. Heart goes out to you, and our prayers go out to you and your family. Very sorry. So, moving on to future meeting dates. A regular meeting is scheduled for December 9th, 2025, beginning at 7:30 p.m. right here in the PLCC room in the Administration Building 105 South Madison Avenue, Spring Valley, New York, 10977. Written communication. Since the last board meeting, the board has not received written communication. I will now make a motion to enter executive session. Kathy, what are we discussing?
To discuss matters regarding the possible employment of particular persons, and also to receive advice from counsel on litigation with LLN. And we may take action following executive session.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President McGill. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, abstain, motion carries. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Did you get my text about Margaret? Okay.
If they start at 8:10, I can't show up there. Okay, we'd like to bring this meeting back to order. Okay. I will now make a motion as follows. Whereas the East Ramapo Central School District entered a contractual agreement with New Jersey-based corporation Craco Inc. doing business as Language Learning Network, Craco Inc., and collectively parties for the provision of the English Language Learning Teaching Services Agreement, and whereas a dispute arose between the parties with respect to the implementation of such and of the terms of such agreement, and whereas the district filed an action in federal court, ERCSD versus Craco doing business as Language LLN Network 725-03319, suit in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, White Plains Division regarding the terms and implementation of the agreement, and whereas the parties have reached a mutually agreeable settlement of all claims associated with the above agreement and suit. Now, therefore, the Board of Education of the East Ramapo Central School District resolves as follows. 1. The Board hereby approves the payment to the amount of 125. It says 150. Or here it says 125,000. Should I cross it out to 150? 150,000.
Who gets the 25?
Now, to Craco Inc. in full and complete settlement of any and all claims associated with the agreement and suit with such amount to be paid to Craco Inc. no later than December 31st, 2025 in exchange for an executed stipulation of dismissal, and agreeing such payment shall finally and complete resolve all matters as between the district and Craco Inc. Number 2, authorizes counsel to the district to enter into stipulation of dismissal with prejudice. Number 3, authorizes counsel for the district to draft a settlement agreement containing all terms necessary to effectuate settlement of all claims, authorizing corresponding payment as set forth in number 1 above. Number 4, authorize the board president to execute the final settlement agreement in a form acceptable to the council of the district. Number 5, authorize taking all action necessary to implement the terms of this resolution. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fetter. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, abstain, motion carries. Thank you all. I will now make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second? Second by Vice President McGill. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, abstain, motion carries. Thank you.